one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, getting into roll call.
Thomas Brick,
Here.
Daniel Enright,
Here.
Ryan Lissack,
Yes.
Donna Oliphant,
Here.
Tom Stevens, Eric Bozema,
Here.
Robert Carnahan,
Here.
Terry Knowles, here, Julie Murr. Jill, sorry, Jill. I'm so sorry, sweetie. Go figure, huh?
I didn't have a chance to review the minutes, so I would like to hold off on that before approving them, just because I wasn't here for that. So if we could get those maybe at a later time or March 9th. Moving on to old business. We have Chuck Becker, 7513 West 136th Ave.
I get an update on that. So your town manager, Rick Everly, is working on updating the resolution with the Lake County Hazard Mitigation Plan, which would allow us to apply for some funding on this one. He is still working on that with our town attorney. So this item has no further update.
Okay.
If I could just let you know that at the last meeting, we talked about possible buyout of the property.
Okay.
So you're aware of that. I don't know if you are aware of that or not. And that's what Jill is referring to now, that the town manager is looking into funding that.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes.
Does that help you, or did you know that already?
I did know that, but I believe there was the programs through the USDA. Is that who that's through?
It's
Homeland
DH.
Security.
I think it's Homeland Security.
Oh,
Long story short is that there needs to be an active hazard mitigation plan either by the town itself or by the county. There is one, but they need to formally adopt it in a resolution for us to be eligible. Then you do that first, and then we can inquire about funds.
Okay. Is it just something like all the other towns and cities in Lake County? Okay.
Yeah.
But Cedar Lake wasn't. Gotcha.
But has other cities and towns got money from it?
I'm not sure. As far as I know, only 3 of the 12 or 15 municipalities in Lake County have actually formally adopted it. So
So do we have to adopt it here?
we have to adopt it, which is just a resolution. It's hard to go. It's just acknowledging that you're accepting it.
Council, and Stormboard, just so you know, previously, I believe in 2010, we had previously by resolution adopted the Lake County hazard mitigation plan. This is an update to the plan of Lake County and an update to our resolution to follow the updated hazard mitigation plan.
So does the town have to pass an updated resolution?
Yeah, that's what we're looking at.
Alright.
And Rick is working on the town attorney.
Those funds are competitive to answer your question about. So there's no guarantee, even if we pass this, that we're applying for it.
With that in mind, I'd like to make a motion that this board go on record that the town, we're approving that avenue
Okay.
for this particular case. Is
Like-
that in order?
Yeah. I'd like to second the motion. Just to put it on the minutes. Thank you. Going on.
Somebody second it,
Oh, I seconded it.
and then you're gonna vote on it?
Okay, let's put it to vote.
Ryan Lissack,
Yes.
Daniel Enright,
Yes.
Thomas Brick.
Yes. All right, moving on to old business item B. Linsway and Carey Street.
I have the letter drafted to provide to all of the residents. I'm just confirming the easement measurement with Don. Of being 16 feet, there's approximately 16 property owners, most of those being duplexes, cottage homes, that they're posting in their iPad. So
What's the period of time?
we are asking for 60 days to get items removed from the easement. Items included fences, sheds, landscaping, tying this together between your director of operations, stormwater, I'll be the point of contact and can direct questions through Tim. But it's easier to have a single point of contact when the people aren't out in the field every day. We'll eventually break one in and for all this stuff, but right now that'll be moving forward. We're anticipating that being a late summer project. So we're using a summer timeline. We obviously don't want to do it when it's raining.
That's 680 feet of pipe with anywhere from 6 to 7 catch basins. And what was the diameter of that pipe again?
It's a 36-inch
36.
HDPE. I think it's actually more like 800 bucks.
800?
So as we move forward, we'll continue to update you on this project.
Mr. Costello had reached out to me asking about where it stood on, so just in case that does come up.
Still is one of the property.
He's one of the property owners. I cannot remember his address, but he's there on Cary Street.
I'll look it up and reach out to him.
He's 14736B Cary Street.
And just for timeline purposes, when are the flags going to be going in the ground, kind of outline the easement?
You mean utility flags, or
Utility-
are you talking about stake in the easement itself?
Stake in the easement itself?
Well,
just,
that won't be until we actually get a contractor on board.
Okay.
So I mean, essentially the easement is the rear property line to the east. I think it's 30 feet. So because it's hard to stake it because you have that spike strip back there,
Mhm.
who's some kind of claim as their own property. So doing it, eyeballing it may be difficult unless somebody can find like a actual property corner.
Yeah.
But no, we're not planning on doing any kind of field work until we get everything moved. And utility locates will go in once we get a contractor on board. So it'll be a while.
Okay.
Don, how will the homeowners know what's encroaching and what's not? If we don't put some kind of a perimeter up for this actual easement.
I mean, we can do that.
I think that, along with the notification of the property owners, I think that we should establish where that easement actually is, so the property owners know what we're talking about when we send out that information to them.
Well, and that's why we're putting in a how many foot easement property owners should have, a
Mhm.
survey of their property when they closed on it. There should be potentially stakes in the parcel. If they have questions, we can, but otherwise we're gonna be entering through potential fences on a private property to try and stake something
That's right.
because we can't get to it because the fence is in the easement. So I'm looking at, it could be cost prohibitive at this point. We can work with property owners and give them an idea if they call and have the question, but staking it right now to tell them where to get it out of our easement.
Mhm.
And we could put an exhibit with the letter, an approximate line that has an arrow over it. I'll give you an idea of generally what's inside of it. But otherwise, we'd have to go out there and stake each property.
I just gotta be honest with you. I think there's a lot of things, fences, pools that are gonna be in some of these properties.
Well, that's the other thing is that people, like I said, people think they own that 10-foot
Right.
spike strip. They're gonna measure out that 10-foot spike strip. When in actuality, it's actually 10 foot east of that.
Many of the property owners too, though, have come in for a variance to install their fence because they have a 30-foot building line rear yard setback, and they wanted to build that fence so that they only have a 26-foot setback, a 23-foot setback. And I believe, Bob, you may know, just below John, there's a lot of those that have come out of the Lindsay subdivision. So many of those property owners, in requesting those variances, have to have a survey of some sort to ask for that change in their setback, put the fence in, or whatever item, shed, et cetera, or a deck, because that subdivision does have a
I mean,
very close rear yard setback.
just looking at the fences on, it looks like a lot of them are on the correct line. But I know a lot of them probably think they go past that. I mean, there's trees in that white strip you can see here. This guy's got a pool over it. But it looks like a lot of the fences are actually lined up well. So, and we can put an exhibit together and give them an idea of, give them a starting point at least.
I mean, even if you went out there and shot the center line of the easement and told the property owners, you know, this is how far away you got to be from the center line. I mean, I don't get this part. If you're going to send a communication to the property owners saying that they're encroaching on an easement that they don't even know where it is, I don't understand that. I know I would have a hard time with it if I was being notified that, hey, your garage is or your pool is in an easement that I don't even know where it is.
No, that's a good point. It's just a matter of, I mean, we can shoot it. It's not going to be exact. We're not surveyors. We can hire surveyors to do it when you start incurring more costs.
I'm not asking for every point of property here. I'm looking at in terms of what happens, because I don't know this. What happens if someone comes in for a variance on an easement and the town says, yeah, go ahead, it's okay. And then we find out that they're right in the middle of the easement. Are we responsible then, because we gave them an okay to go on the easement to move their pool or their fence? This is what I'm talking about,
So usually when they would get those variances, and I really, as well as me, one of the BZA members is very informative to the residents, that they know if they're crossing that easement, if they're in, you can't build a fence in the easement. You have to be behind it on the property line or
For sure.
And if they're going across it or anything, they're very informative that, it's going to be your cost to remove this. If we have to take it down to do work, it's your cost. And we understand that some property owners may not know, and that's why I'm including my number in the letter so they can reach out to me, as well as an email address, and we can work with those property owners if they have questions. If you want to try doing that first before we would survey anything.
I'm not recommending anything here.
Because a lot of those property owners have already been in here and had brought the issue to our attention. So those property owners, I would think, have an idea of where this easement is.
Unless somebody sold their property and a new person lives there, they may not know.
That's true. And we could, if we need to, we could have a small neighborhood meeting with the 16 property owners and invite all of them in to see what we're doing and what our plans are. But I think this would be the first notification to get it out there that we're planning on doing something.
At least get the ball rolling.
Okay.
Thank you for,
Yeah. And I think it just goes back to just being proactive on it. That's all
Yeah.
it is. That's all we're talking about. So that's good.
I think, are they pretty consistent as far as where the fences are at, on the back of the lots or the
Fairly,
west side of the properties?
fairly. They're
I
all
mean-
pretty much on their property line, it looks like. the rear property lines.
Where is the center line of this easement at? What,
Essentially 30 feet east of that rear property line.
so
Well,
if you,
15 feet would be the
if
center
you
line.
just went through there and took some wooden stakes and flags on the center line, you'd be outside the fences and you just walk straight through?
No, we'd be inside the fence
Oh.
line.
Inside the fences.
Okay,
So that's
inside.
where we're running into some of the,
We'd need access to do that.
No, I'm just trying to figure out a way where you get an easy straight shot where it might take you an hour to, like, with the easement, if you went on the west side of the easement line, would that be outside the fences?
Yeah, but we need to come back into the fence line in order to stake anything though. The problem is that most likely the property corners are just outside of the fence corners. And we want to stake inside of the fence, so we're gonna need to somehow find it on the outside, come back in and stake it. It's a pain in the butt. Granted, not, it doesn't be that exact, it'll just be an idea.
I was just trying, like Dan was saying, some kind of reference point where you could say, we staked it and anything 30 feet east of them stakes are what we're looking at to clear.
Yeah, and we can do that. I mean, it's helpful that these are duplexes, but I mean, some of the duplexes have fences and some don't. So you have half a lot that has a fence, half a lot doesn't have a fence. So it's just kind of,
you could use some reference, you know, depending on what size fence panels they have, that's 2.5 fence panels, or that's 2 fence panels. If they're, you know, 6 foot wide, 8 foot wide,
Mhm.
that could be a point of reference to them, that's an approximate if their fence is on the property line.
I mean, all this becomes a heck of a lot easier when we get this stuff out of there. Because we're also assuming that the pipe is dead center of this easement. We're not 100% sure on,
Oh,
because
I
we can't
see.
get a clear line of sight from
Mhm.
manhole to manhole. So once we get rid of this stuff, we can actually pull a string line between them and actually know exactly where it's at. They may only need to stay out of half of it. If it's pushed to the west side or it could be pushed to the east side of it, it's all kind of unknown at this point. So I would say we just start with the letter, see where it gets us. If people are having trouble locating it, then we'll take it from there.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Moving on to update items. We have 137th in Lowerman.
We can address these. These are both part of that larger plan. They're bigger ticket, 6-figure items that have a road component to them. Town's still working on their financials that will give us a little more clarity on where the money may come from. And if potentially, I think road committee is going to have a meeting here in the next month or two. That'll be brought up at that meeting as well. It's kind of a crossover. But yeah, those are both tied to larger, potentially singular roadway projects.
Any time frame on that? Is it later this year, late summer?
All about money on those.
Okay.
They're both at roughly probably 60 to 70% plans, part of that plan. They're both part of subdivisions that were noted as priorities. We've already started utility coordination for them as well. So both rolling behind the scenes. So just a matter of priorities with the town and funding.
To do the projects individually, that was one of the other things we were looking at. And it really just doesn't seem feasible to do those as individual projects outside of a larger street improvement or drainage project at this point. But these areas are areas that as the building department comes across something or we're doing other projects in the area, having down here, me, Tim, Eric, you know, we're familiar with that area, so some of that communication has occurred that we can really be proactive when other improvements come through that area.
Absolutely. I think that's a great, very strategic approach there. Okay, so moving on to item C, Jacob Vieman, 9208 West 142nd Place.
My understanding the project is done, minus restoration.
Yeah, the project is complete minus restoration. In discussing this with Tim Kubiak, our Director of Operations, we're gonna wait for some of the spring rains to come through to settle the dirt in the area, give or take 3 to 4 weeks. They'll come in, they'll do some leveling, some seed and straw, and this project will be closed out. So at this point, the VMen seem to be happy with the work that was done. They understand the timeline, so this could come off your agenda if you want, or if you want an update once it's restored.
I would say to keep it on the agenda until it's restored,
Okay,
just to update, just to talk about it.
sure, no problem.
Up next is the Woods of Cedar Creek.
Very similar update. That one's been paid out to 90%. The 10% retainage held to basically see how that trench settles. It was settling at the end of last year. We expect it to settle even more now. So once that is done settling, they're likely going to have to touch up their sod work that they did out there. So we'll hold on to that retainage until we can inspect it. We'll likely inspect it in the next couple of weeks.
Good to hear. All right. Moving on to Public Works projects.
Just a couple small ones here and there for now. We did clean out the Lauerman culvert going across the street into by Pinecrest.
Mhm.
We've had to clean that out probably 4 or 5 times in the last couple days. So I don't know if this is something that we may have to look at, be a bigger pipe, or,
Just getting a lot of debris in it.
I mean, there's a lot of debris coming out of that.
Is that a box culvert or what is that?
It's just two,
Twins?
yeah,
36 or?
no, they're smaller than that.
Oof.
So,
It's pretty lake level under there.
yeah, it is. So, I mean, it almost looks like it got dammed up. So then we cleaned it out, then the debris keeps coming, but it ain't really deep right there either.
Not beavers or anything, is it?
Tyler and I did see a little beaver there this morning, so I think he might have been a little mad that we took that out of there, but
If it's a beaver,
possible.
they'll come back.
It's possible in
They'll
that
rebuild
area.
quickly. So
yeah. So we're gonna keep an eye on that for now, but
Okay.
I know that Tyler and I went out there with the backhoe today and kind of widened it a little bit because it kept getting smaller and smaller.
mhm.
So the water's, I went past it just now, and the water's still flowing through there, so.
Okay.
I feel like we're filling a pool now,
Yeah,
because all the water's starting to run to the lake.
there's a similar problem over by 147.
Yep.
That finger coming out of the south
Yeah.
gets clogged up a lot for the same reason.
So,
Okay.
And then any update on Martin Ryan on Ravensway? We're in the Beehive.
I haven't heard anything from him, and I think everything's pretty good over there.
Okay.
I mean, we'll check it once it starts getting more foliage down there, and we'll see if it needs to be cleaned out a little bit more, but I mean, we haven't heard anything from him.
That's good. That's
Yeah.
good news. All right.
I have a question. Somebody stopped me today and I was flabbergasted because I didn't know. They said we have a container underneath the Mont State Bank that catches stormwater and gradually releases it.
Demont may have underground storage,
Yes.
maybe. Okay.
I've never heard
It's never
that.
been verified, we've never looked at it outside of that, but that's one of them when CBS had their issue and we're looking at some drainage in that area that we had determined that the Mont State Bank does have some underground storage.
Probably the first one in town.
I've never heard of it, so
Yeah, I don't know
I
if they're the
just-
same ones as CVS. CVS uses like kind of,
Kind of a barrel.
yeah, elliptical plastic kind of.
you got any kind of documentation here?
No, I couldn't find anything. We had, I know we had discussed, I think within
Yeah.
133rd, or we were, when summer winds was.
When
coming
summer wind is
through.
going in, there's supposed to be a restrictor in that manhole, but they never picked up. So I think they actually got sold. But yeah, I think that was probably the first one in town. probably back in
How will we
09.
verify that we've got something in there?
You could camera it if you needed to. There are clean out structures there to maintain it. Whether or not they're maintaining it, it's a
Actually,
good question.
stormwater credits, that's when we started to think of those. Some of them that had that infrastructure.
We have an application that was reviewed probably on like really early on. I was 7 or 8 or 9. When I went in, I think.
I have no idea.
133rd and King. So right in front, just south of the high school.
I'm sorry,
Just south of the high school. So
Yes.
west of Burger King, Dairy Queen.
the Chase Bank,
No, DeMott State Bank.
DeMont State Bank. Okay,
It's like right there. So wherever Summer Winds is, the new subdivision,
yes,
it's right there in the southeast corner. The
thank you.
first, yeah.
First time I ever heard of DeMont State Bank in Cedar Lake.
Been there for a long time.
I thought the same thing.
Well, they used to be where the dock is now. They used to be there for a while.
Yeah.
The vault is still in there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But Chase will be gone July 22nd. We won't have a Chase Bank in Sea Lake anymore.
Oh, they're not gonna be in Straps? They're moving out of Straps?
Chase,
Oh, Chase, duh.
that's in here.
Can't hear.
Why is that?
I don't know. Brian Cuba went in there to get some cash and they told him that after July 22nd, you're gonna have to go to Crown Point or St. John to get money. He says, no, I'm going to a different bank.
Okay.
And my
The
son,
Summerfest committee is pulling their money out of Chase too.
banks at Chase, and he was informed that they were closing the bank, and they gave no reason. Other than they can.
Well, they closed the big one they had there in Maryville.
They move in Crown Point? Aren't they up on?
They're
Main Street?
at the square.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
They closed the one next to Wendy's.
Yeah, next to Wendy's, that was it. It's a dental
That's
office.
at
now.
the,
Yeah.
Yeah, they kept the one open that has all the ample parking.
And it has those coins in the door.
Yeah,
Yeah.
go figure.
All right, open it up to other public comments with, not about state banks or banks in general.
Just kind of a follow-up on Richard Czar, 10905 West 129th Avenue. This is a follow-up on the 129th Avenue resurfacing. Any news?
June, early June.
Early
It'll
June?
start after the schools are out.
Okay, just curious.
There may be some minor potholing going on near Monastery before that. But that'll be about it until early June.
Okay,
And Jill, the information was all submitted for community crossing grants, and that's all good to go, right?
as a matter of fact, yes, we received,
Today?
just so you know, on community crossing grants, since this project has some stormwater component to it, we did receive the purchase order from NDOT today with a designation number for the project. This is a project where we get the money upfront, we don't have it reimbursed, and it's only for construction. So we should anticipate those funds in about 3 to 4 weeks.
What is it, do you know the amount?
343,000 and some change.
Mhm.
The project came in approximately $95,000 to $100,000 under engineer's estimates.
Two bids were within $700 each other.
It's the closest I think we've ever had.
Yep. Quite impressive. On a $800,000 project, 700.
And what's the name of the new company?
Milestone, AKA Walsh and Kelly. Is the contractor.
It's now Milestone instead of Washington.
Milestone Contractors North. Is their official name. Very
So-
weird.
They're owned by Walsh and Kelly.
No. Milestone bought Walsh and Kelly. There is no more Walsh and Kelly.
No way.
Yep.
Yeah.
Milestone book?
Milestone bought Walsh and Kelly.
Where are they out of? I never heard of them.
Indy.
Oh,
They also bought another company, northeast part of Indiana, Wabash Valley. Another paving they don't do anything around here, but. Yep. So that'll be interesting. Same people right now. So.
Are they the same, or is it just Walsh that owns that quarry down south? Is that Walsh and Kelly?
Yeah, they don't own the quarry.
41.
They have a,
It's Washington, it was Washington Kelly unless Milestone took it.
they have their own plant down there. Yeah, the quarry's owned, the giant guy is not Killing when they're near the county line.
I just see their sign up front.
Yeah, they have a plant in Lowell and Griffith are their two big guys.
Alrighty then, if there's nothing else to discuss, I think we can adjourn our April meeting. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
All right.